And I'm not sure if, actually I explained, did I explain it last time about the prayer of presence? No. Okay, so prayer is communication. At least that's how we are taught. That the prayer is where you talk to God. And then you want God talking back to you. You read the Bible, you look for the signs. But essentially, the idea of a prayer is like a one-way communication where I tell God what's on my mind. But when you read the Bible, what you find in the Bible, numerous places. In the Old Testament, a lot, and then some in the New Testament as well, where people are just silent before God. Where you don't see any kind of communication happening. You don't see that, like Paul talks about that. I was in the presence of the Lord on the third heaven. And he just talks about the presence. He doesn't talk that, God told him this or he told this. No. They were just there together. So, what we started doing some time ago, and I encourage you guys to practice that for yourselves as well, instead of having a prayer as just one-way communication, create this habit of a prayer of presence where you will take the time, and we take a minute over here. It's kind of convenient. But you take a minute to just be aware of your presence. Sitting in the chair, just being, like thoughts come, you let them go. You this or that, the smell of the food, just kind of let that go. Just kind of be aware that you're right here, right now. And then the second step is be aware that God is present here as well. The Bible is clear about that. If there are 2 or 3 gathered in my name, I'm there with you guys. I believe that God is present with us. I mean, we know that God is present with us at all times as long as we are focused on connecting to Him. So this prayer of presence is meant to be a silent acknowledgement of me being connected to my Creator. That's what we do. So that's why I'm saying we'll take a minute, and that's why I told you, clear your hands, clear your air wherever you are. Don't kind of don't play with anything. Don't take all of the distractions away. Closing your eyes helps a lot. Focus on just on your presence, like right there where your eyes are. Focus on your presence, and then focus on the presence of God that is right here, present in this space. So let's give it a minute for that. Dear Lord, as we stand here within your presence, we ask for your Spirit. Please may your Spirit come upon us today so we can hear and understand how to expand our life experience, how to live for the right things, and how to drop the things that seem important but they're really not. May this study today understanding of what the value of life is. Amen. Cool. All right. So let's start with this. I would like us to do an exercise. So our life of life. We have, and the subtitle for it is From Gaining to Living. And the reason why is because very often we have this sense that we live a life here, especially when you kind of become an adult, when you move out to your parents' home, when you start making your own money, when you start kind of making your own decisions and forming your own life, we are very often convinced that life is about gaining. Okay, I need to gain education. Okay, I need to gain a better lifestyle. Okay, I need to gain a place to live. I need to gain a transport, whatever. Like, we always have this idea of something to get. It doesn't have to be material. I have to gain a family, relationships, and so on. And very often we end up in a pit where, like, we think about all of these things that we need to have that represent adulthood. I need to get a better haircut. I need to grow a better beard, and so on. But all of these things, in the light of the Bible, Bible passages we're going to read, are actually in the way of living. We substitute living with gaining. And that's what I would like us to talk about today. What does it mean to gain things in life, and what does it mean to live things in life? So we're going to start with this. So look at these photos. Tell me which one resonates the best with your idea of settling. Which one of these resonates the best as, like, oh my goodness, this is so me. This is where I see. So you have a house in the woods. You have a beautiful suburb. You have a tiny home that you can take wherever you want. And you have, like, downtown penthouse. That's kind of, I kind of generalize, but essentially this is what rounds up the experience of living. Huh? I forgot the farm. I probably like the house in the woods and the farm. Like, yeah, but you're right. Yeah, the farmhouse would be, yeah. So I want to hear from you which resonates best with you and why.
This one, the one with the woods, kind of like wood.
House in the woods?
Yeah, because I think I've always kind of like dreamed of having, I mean, one, because it's nice too, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I like the big trees. It looks like it has a lot of land. And then, like, in my future fantasy life, I'm like, you know, gardening and like growing my little vegetables. So like that, being in nature, but then also having my space.
So for you is like green versus asphalt, kind of like that.
Yeah.
That's what drives you.
Yeah, like I don't want the concrete jungle.
Okay. So that also means that for you is solitude more than connectedness.
No, like I imagine, like, I got neighbors, maybe their house is maybe like, you know, 2 acres away, but there's, you know, other people. Maybe they ride their horse to my house, but like I got neighbors.
It's going to be an electric
Yeah,
scooter.
or maybe I like the fact that I can go away, but then I can also go into the city. So it's not like I would want to be in the deserted, in the middle of nowhere. Like I would want to be able to drive to my local grocery, and then if I need to go to the city, it's like 30 minutes away or something. You know what I mean?
Okay. I got it. All right. Okay. So the idea of wall-to-wall neighbors doesn't resonate that well. Okay. All right. Well, about the rest of you guys, what resonates with, like, this is me, this is how I look like?
I'm either on the tiny house or I want to say that looks like an apartment, so I'm just going to say it's an apartment. Only because I've been cleaning out my room, and I have been realizing I have so much stuff that is quite literally not important in my life anymore. So like the less the better for me.
Okay, all right.
Minimalist.
So the idea of
Getting there.
so the minimalistic lifestyle.
Yeah.
Now, what? So does that mean that a minimalistic lifestyle also entails? Oh, those are the jalapenos.
Yes. I mean, yes, because they already touched it. It's not jalapeno popper.
Dang it. Okay. I hope for the best. I'm gonna hate this, like tomorrow, now when the heartburn kicks in. Woo. All right. So minimalistic means also, in a way, squeezed. So like if you have a small apartment downtown, like you can hear everything. You're not bothered by the fact that you might have like let's say social clutter around you. No.
No, because the last time we were in before we were in the house now, we were in an apartment. And apparently the upstairs neighbors were creating so much noise. Like even up to like 2, 3 in the morning, slept past it. So I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm okay.
You're ready.
Yeah.
You're gonna fun with that. Okay.
She's like, it comforted me, put me to sleep.
Pretty much. Even the baby in the house, I hardly hear her at night because I'm just passed out.
So, years back when Philip, actually his dad, they used to live in Nevada. For like a year, they were living by the railroad. And I remember his dad telling me, like, when they moved to the house where they are right now, he says, like, it took me like a couple of weeks. I couldn't sleep because it was so quiet. Like, it wakes me up. Well, like, where's the noise? You know, it was kind of confusing. So we adjust to everything. Okay, Jenny, so we're talking about resonance. We're talking about what resonates with you. So if you are to say, this is so me, this is where I could settle, this represents what I am, which one of these living areas would be the one? I'm asking in general because I didn't hear anything from Andrew yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope everybody can hear me. So for me, I mean, I'm kind of split because I like living in the city because you're just connected and that's like where all the work is at and it's just easier to get anywhere. Then it's like, I also just like living in a ranch, you know, like not a big house, like a smallish house, you know, with the barn and stuff. Because it's like, I don't know, like when you fall asleep in a ranch, you're kind of like in the middle of nowhere. It's so quiet at night, so relaxing. And if you have like horses and stuff, and you have a bunch of flat land, like you can just go out and just ride, and then like it's fun, it's nice.
You're making it look.
It's because it is nice. I mean, maybe I'm trying to.
Even the way that he was saying it, you're like, yeah. Yeah.
Whoa, yeah.
I mean, you get out of your. I mean, you have breakfast, you get out of your house, and then you know you saddle up your horse, like in the barn, you know, grab your tag, and then you hop up, and then you go off, and like, I don't know, it's like there's no.
Okay, cool. All right. So, okay, Jenny.
Between a mix between 1 and 2. The one on the left is a little too like cold and modern for me. But then the one in the middle is a little too like suburban, plain, and like basic.
Fair enough.
She's like, somewhere between
So like a mix of both, like
What draws you to the subs?
to
The suburbs.
neighbors, like your kids have someone to play with.
Okay, all right.
versus-
Community, pretty much.
Yeah, community.
Okay. This is more of a solitude, that's more of a community.
So mixed.
Okay, all right.
Not too.
Okay, so remember your choice. Now let's see the next slide. No. Which one would you settle with?
White one.
The white one?
Yeah.
I thought you wanted minimalist and small.
It's a nice compact car if I need to move something.
That is a big SUV.
Everything fits in there. My whole life will probably fit in
That's okay.
size
Okay, yeah, I think that's it's a Subaru probably. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Totally see Pati in that.
All right.
Totally, yeah.
I kind of imagine her in the yellow one, just with everything else that she can do. Well, with a small apartment and a tiny home that you mentioned, like the yellow one makes sense.
You just picked like the worst little car.
That's,
Yeah, right? He could have put like,
could've picked
like
it
the
better.
nicer little ones, like the little Mini Coopers, you know? That was funny.
Like you picked the worst sports car, like a
I think
Mazda.
this is super European.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the reason why. I think actually this is.
So
European.
basically, what are the options? You have like luxury, sports, mini, and like SUV, or what
Yeah,
were the categories?
that's kind of the idea.
Like
so which one do
practical.
you feel like? Huh?
Like practical.
Yeah.
Sorry? No, you
Like
had your
practical.
hand over your
She
mouth.
said
The
practical.
white one's practical
Oh,
is what I'm
okay.
saying.
The white one is practical, yeah, that's fine, but it's big, it's bulky, it's hard to park.
Yeah.
It's a gas guzzler.
Not a Subaru.
Let's say it was, just imagine it's a big ass truck. Sorry, a big
Why in
truck.
front of the truck? You're
Big
right there to
truck.
build a truck.
Or like a freaking Tahoe,
Yeah.
a Suburban.
Okay.
Point is, you're saying a big car. The other one is like more economic, fuel
Yeah,
efficient,
it's-
tiny, minimalistic. The other one's
You
a
have a
sports
super
car.
Falcon.
fun,
fun car.
fast,
Yeah,
not fuel efficient, but it's fun. And then the other one's what, like more
family friendly.
family friendly?
Yeah, like
Okay.
middle class. Stay
Yeah,
cool.
average. Okay.
If you had to settle with one, which one would you go with?
For the rest of my life?
Let's say for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Family friendly.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to pick. But if it was like if Rafa was old enough and it didn't have to be family friendly, I think the sports one. Yeah.
But then
If
you're
it was a
screwed in
Porsche.
the winter.
Yeah,
Hey,
then
there's all-wheel drive sports cars. So
that is true as
you
well.
want to have a little fun in the snow?
Okay, now I want you to picture what you settled for. Your house and your car that you sell for. I want you to picture it in your head. I say, okay, this is how I see myself. This is where I see myself. And now we're going to ruin the party. What do we see here? You see, you see your accommodation and your means of transportation. What resonates more? A house and a car that you connected with in the previous two photos, or the house and a car that you have presented here? What resonates more?
First one.
First one.
Yeah, because it's like kind of like all you know. It's kind of hard to imagine this because I've never experienced that. Like I feel like it's something like, oh, that sounds good, like that's like a dream, but I don't really know that. So what feels safe is what I know.
Now, in the context of what we believe from the Bible, we know, and the life that we live in right now, where we are right now, is technically a glimpse before a real life that we are meant for, that we are designed for starts, and this is the real life. But still, for you to think about the reality of life, yeah, this is awesome, but this is real. That we are in right now. And as you said, we never experienced, I mean, we know about this, but never been there. When I was in going to Union College to take my master classes, there was one guy who moved from Australia. He was a pastor over there. He moved to Southern Cali to work in a church over there, and then he started the same program the same master program that I was doing. So, and that's when we met in Lincoln, Nebraska, and that was like October or something like that, 2016, whatever. But anyways, so we blah blah blah. Hey, get to know each other, talk about it. His kids are getting used to it, and So somewhere midweek. Through this, we get, like, they tell us, you know what, guys, just get ready. A snowstorm is supposed to swoop in tonight, so kind of be prepared for it. And he gets so excited, like, I've never seen snow in my life. Like, he says, like, I mean, he saw it on the TV and so on, yes, but he never actually experienced snow in reality. And he's like super excited. Yeah, tomorrow morning we'll be driving through the snow and so on. And now, freaking Nebraska. So it was like in the 60s that day. And it snows in like during the night, and pretty much the roads were pretty warm. So everything melted, and then it froze. And then a snow fell on top of that. It was so slippery. So that morning, so we were talking, and I tell him, like, listen, drive as if you had no brakes. Like, literally, just do not use the brake pedal. That's how you need to drive. And he's like, okay, fine. And so eventually, it took him 20 minutes for a 5-minute drive. But he was like, this was crazy. Like, I had no idea, like, how this looks like. I thought this was going to be fun. This was not fun. This was horrible, But it's like, for him, it seemed like an amazing, interesting, cool thing because, yeah, he never experienced it. Like he saw it, he heard about it, he read about it, but he never lived it. You know? So, good morning, gentlemen. So pretty much we are in the same boat with this here. And the arguments of the book of Ecclesiastes are exactly that. So, his arguments are about transiency. The arguments that Solomon is trying to make is, you foolish people, you think that you're living the life here on this planet, but life on this planet is so freaking transient. And you foolish people are settling down for things that you think are so important and so crucial in your lives, and yet all of them are nothing but vanity. A breath.
Milos, really quick, can you explain why, like, Solomon, like, him saying this is so, like, monumental? Because there's a reason why he's the one saying it. Like, what did God give him? Because I feel like if someone doesn't know who King Solomon was, they're going to be like, okay, it's just
Oh, that's what you mean.
this. Yeah.
Okay. Solomon, so a young king, he was the youngest of David's children. David was pretty much an old man when Solomon came to adulthood, and David decided to leave him the kingdom, and that's why he had issues with his other older siblings and so on. But essentially, David told Solomon, I live my life constantly at war. You need to live your life differently. You need to stop waging these wars. But you need to be firm and you need to rule as a man. And good morning. And what happens here, Solomon is now left with a choice. David dies. He is crowned king. And at one point, God shows himself to Solomon and tells him, you know what? Because of your father, I'm going to grant you this. Ask whatever you want. Whatever you want. Is it the riches? Is it the land? Is it whatever it is? Ask whatever you want, and I will grant that to you. And Solomon, kind of under the impression that his dad left to him, he's like, no, I don't want any of that kind of stuff. Like, I have this kingdom to run. I am young. I have no idea what I'm doing. Please, just give me the wisdom. Just give me the wisdom so what I'm doing, I can do it right. And God tells him, okay, oh my goodness, this is awesome. Like you rock, dude. And because you asked for this, I'm going to give you the wisdom, and I'm going to give you everything else with it. And yes, and now interestingly, a lot of people interpret Solomon's life as a life of a downfall. Because he starts, instead of waging wars with other countries as his father was, he starts creating connections with other countries. Political connections, intellectual connections, even spiritual connections. And Bible presents him as like a guy who rose up, then he crashed rock bottom, and then he was lifted up by God again to have like a decent closure, let's put it that way. But when you read his books, when you read the books of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, even the Song of Solomon is very peculiar. You can find in there a very rebellious thinker of his time. He was a revolutionary of his time because by the time he was a king, the religious system was already solidly established. David already started building the temple, and then Solomon finished it, and then the whole 9 yards of the Old Testament, like sacrificial system, everything was set in place. And then Solomon looks at all of this, and he's like we have all of this set up, but where's God? You know? Yeah, I have God for the priesthood, but where's God for everybody else? Where's God for sinners? And then he starts writing this stuff to try to tell the people, listen, what you see here, like in this world, like this big church, this big temple, this is not God. And serving, coming to temple to just do your sacrifice and do like, go through the motions, that is not serving God. No, no. And it was rebellious thought at that time because that was like unheard of. And then all of the things, all of the life lessons that he puts into Proverbs and Ecclesiastes are actually supposed to be an expansion on top of the spiritual experience that was presented to the people of his time. And frankly, nothing really changed. Like, we live in a very similar world. Like, if you are attending, and all of you guys are familiar with what does it mean to be a part of a traditional church. And by traditional, I mean like the 20th century style Christian denomination, like Seventh-day Adventism. But it's like, okay, you do this, and this, and you're good. You know? As long as you kind of have the checklist that you did, like what you do, we talked about that, well, like recently about Sabbath, you know? You have a checklist for the Sabbath. If you didn't do these things, you're good. Everything is okay. But what was on your mind, nobody asks. Nobody cares. So he is arguing and saying, going through the motions is a wrong way to worship God. If you really want to worship God, you have to dismiss all of these rules and regulations. They're secondary. Primary thing is something else. And today, what I would like us to talk about, that's why I started that with that little experiment in the beginning. I want us to understand one thing that we're going to read right now in the book of Ecclesiastes on when Solomon talks about the transiency of life, which means that are you in this life settling down or you're passing by? And the difference, actually, tell me, so from the perspective of your spiritual experience, what is the difference between settling down in this life or just passing by through it?
Well, with settling down, you kind of give up. Like
Excuse me?
With settling down, you kind of give up instead of like continuing forward. You just stay where you are. You don't try to improve yourself. You don't try to improve like your lifestyle or anything. You just kind of get stuck.
So I'm content with this. So
Yes.
essentially, yeah, okay. All right, so as you're going through this world, through this life, you can just stay here. Well, this is my place. This is where I'm going to establish myself. This is where I'm going to settle down, pretty much, and not moving on. What would then mean to pass by in this life? To pass through. My bad, I think I didn't, yeah, that was a wrong, not pass by, but pass through. What does it mean to pass through life?
Like honestly, just the opposite of what Pati's saying. Like settling is like you're setting down roots, right? Like you're never gonna move. You're gonna stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Build your life around there. Versus passing by, it's like you know you're only gonna be here for a bit. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna make the most of it, and then continue on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now, very simple and very easy, but is it? After the World War II, a lot of American soldiers who spent a couple of years on European soil, they left over there. Usually for a beautiful French or Italian woman. You have a lot of those stories, you know. But there is a number of Americans who simply never came back home. Because instead of just passing through over there and then coming back home, they decided to stay there because staying there seemed more worth it. The price was severing the ties with their families here, but for them it was a price worth to pay. So what I want us to discuss today is, all of us would like to say that we are passing through life on the way to eternity. But most of us live most of our life of actually settling down in this life. So this is what we're going to do right now. Open your Bibles. Find book of Matthew, chapter 6. The verse is going to be on the screen if you don't have your Bibles. But for Ecclesiastes, definitely the verses are not going to be on the screen because I would like to do something else. But I would like us to understand these words of Jesus over here. I want to hear how you hear these words. What are they speaking to you? In the context of your plans for this life in the next 10 years. So all of you have your plan for next 10 years, right? Yeah. This is nice about talking to adults. You know, you talk to teenagers like, oh, I don't know. Yeah. But all of you have stuff already figured out. Like 2033, this is where I'm going to be, and this is how I'm going to get there. Yeah, that's awesome. So in that context, let's read this. Do not lay up yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. What are the treasures that Jesus is talking about? Anything tangible. Okay. Well, that's a good start, but let's be more specific.
Eternal life.
Say it again.
Eternal life.
Eternal life. On earth. Do not lay up your treasures, yourselves treasures on earth. What's, you think that Jesus over here is referring to eternal life?
Car, house, all that stuff.
Say it again.
Car, house.
Car, house. Okay, what else? What else would treasures be on this
Your
earth?
job, your career.
Your job, your career.
Sorry, I misunderstood you. That's why I said
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. You're forgiven.
New plans.
Your plans. Okay. What else? I thought you raised your hand. What else are your treasures on this earth?
Love.
Our bodies.
Love.
Love. Thank you very much.
I said people.
You said people. That's right. Our connection with people. All right. How about your son?
Yeah, that's true.
Our own bodies.
Our bodies. Yes. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. What is Jesus trying to tell us here? From my perspective, kids. How do you understand this? So in the context of all of these treasures that we just mentioned, that go beyond the material, like way beyond the material, have no attachment. Okay, interesting way to say it. Have no attachment with treasures you have here on earth. Okay, what does that really mean? Have no attachment.
Don't identify yourself with the things you have, the things that are people and the things around you.
Okay, so things around you are not you. Yeah. They may belong to you. They may be part of your life, but they're not you. Do not identify yourself. Okay, cool. What else? What is Jesus trying to tell you about your treasure of family? What is Jesus trying to tell you about your treasure of education? Yes, please.
What I was thinking is like, you can have like treasures, you can have like the people that you care about, but don't let it hinder you from your goal, like from God.
Okay, so you say that laying up your treasures here on earth means don't make them the primary thing of your life.
Yeah, because like once this earth fades away, like we're not gonna be married up in heaven. We're not really gonna have kids up in heaven. We're all gonna be God's kids. So
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, Bible has an interesting description of how is that going to look like, but it's definitely going to be different with what we experience here right now. So how do you feel about your stash of treasures that you have stashed so far? What is Jesus calling you to do with your career, with your bank account, with your social connections that you hold so dear? What is Jesus really trying to tell you here to do with these things? Huh?
They're just gonna rust.
Okay, they're just gonna rust, but what about it? What are you gonna do about it?
Like let it go.
Let it go. What does that mean? How can you let go of
Like-
your love for your son?
Like not making it my identity, right? Because I feel like if my son is my everything, like I hear this a lot, like in psychology, where like mothers will make their children everything, and then when the children leave, the mother is like doesn't know what to do with herself, or she goes into a deep depression, ends up getting divorced, like all these things because her whole identity was her children. So I think that's what he's saying is like you're gonna have all these things, and that's fine, that's good, they're nice things, but don't make that your identity because you're so much more than that.
Thank you very much. Okay, similar to what Philip said. Where moth, as Deke said, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. So, technically, all of these things that we build here are not you. Everything that you're building is not you. We agree on that. You are you. And all of these things might be your achievements, might be a representation of your work, effort, abilities, and so on, but none of these things are you. In 2008, when we had a big crash that none of you remember because you were kids, I remember it again because I witnessed it. I was in my late 20s. Jasmine and I are barely trying to establish ourselves, working on it, and then this recession comes in and just screws us up. Not just up. We were actually the lucky ones because we didn't have anything to lose. I remember people committing suicides. I remember people simply getting sick and dying in like 6 months after losing everything. Why? Because their identity became what they created, what they had, what they were. And then when that disappeared, rust and moth and thief, they disappeared as well. They were gone. So the idea that Jesus throws over here, and I agree with what you said, there is nothing wrong with having treasures. Like all of these things make up life, right? All of these things give us, fulfill our yearnings, give us the push, give us the juice of life. We taste every day through all of these things, you know? And that's awesome. But the problem arises when they are laid up on earth. The problem is not treasures, as you can see, because Jesus says after that, but lay up your treasures in heaven. So the problem is not what, the problem is where. The problem is not the treasures, but the location where you keep them. Now explain this to me. How do you understand that? All of these treasures that you guys have, how can you lay them up in heavens? What does that mean? iCloud. Nice.
I was gonna say giving it to God, like you kind of like you pray to God, like these are my treasures, but I'm giving them to you.
What does that really mean? So you said giving your treasures to God, giving your relationships, your career, your bank account. What does it really practically mean? I'm giving this to God.
Crap. So I feel like what it means is like, because we talked about this last week, we were talking about being present, right? So if we're making all these things that are treasures on earth, our treasures, right, and not giving them to heaven, we're constantly either depressed because we're thinking about our past and everything that's happened with our treasures in the past, or we're anxious because we're worried about all these treasures that we're worrying about in the future. So we're never present and we're never in peace because we're not handing them over to God, who says, like, why worry about tomorrow? You worry about today because the rest is going to be taken care of. Because
Okay.
I take care of it for you.
Okay.
That's all I'm understanding.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you very much for sharing. I'm just trying to see, and I want to actually hear it from you. How do you guys do this in practice?
So I think of it as like, I close my eyes, I have a big house, I have everything I ever wanted, shop, Lamborghini, whatever you have, whatever you want, right? And
We
look at-
just had an exercise in that before, when we started. That's interesting.
And then think of that, and you know that one day you just have to look and walk away. The real question is, can you just walk away and be happy and not feel like you're giving something up.
Uh-huh.
To be like, you know what, this was great, this was awesome, but this wasn't the end goal. This was a great story, little part of my life. I can walk away from it.
Okay.
If it's taken away from you, it's not your full identity. It doesn't.
Okay, thank you. So essentially, if you can drop it and leave it and move on, you're not tied to it. But what are then the treasures that are laid up in heavens? Were you raising your hand?
Kinda.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I was just thinking. Well, I don't know actually, because I might be wrong. Like, you know, when I buy stuff, like, is that what God wants me to buy? Is, like, buy a house, you know, buy a car.
Buy all those guns.
You know, that's another thing. Like you're saying, like, bring my treasure up to the head. Well, how do you bring it up to? You know, what does that look like? You know, I mean, gun is to.
Are you going to need guns in heaven?
Yeah.
That's like,
Yeah, I don't need that.
you had them for fun. So like, go ahead. And
So, well, I can still be corrected, but I believe the biggest treasure in heaven, and I guess to start with here on earth, is being spiritual. I guess, and I don't know what way I could describe it, but like opening up like your spiritual eye and opening up your spirituality, and then therefore then you can become closer to God, closer to Jesus Christ,
Okay.
and learning about Jesus, learning about His life here, learning about the people of the past, that had interactions with God, that were close to God, and I guess like with that, like you become more spiritually knowledgeable, and that's how you pretty much expand, and then that's how you start to lay up your treasures in heaven. And
okay, now you're bringing up a dichotomy that we're going to be discussing a little bit. Victor.
Yeah, I think what is a little confusing is when we think of like treasure, we think of something physical, and obviously, like I don't think God cares about anything physical here on earth. So I think that's why we're like, well, what treasure do we take to heaven, right? And I think that's what he was saying, is that it's nothing physical that we're taking to heaven. It's more of maybe a relationship with God and with others, is what the Bible says.
So right now, thank you very much. The two of you guys are going in the direction that I want us to think about right now. We are talking about, yes, the word treasures is there, but obviously we are talking about two different kinds of treasures.
Your experiences that you have here. Technically, okay, let's see would it be your consciousness as well?
Okay.
Because, your spirit and your consciousness, I would say, is probably relatively together. So, I don't know, I could be wrong, please tell me. So your understanding of what life was here and your experiences here would be considered a treasure, right?
Okay, so wisdom of life. Essentially what you're saying would be considered a treasure. Okay?
I keep thinking it's like where your focus is. Like if you replace the word treasure with focus, it's like for where your focus is, there your heart will be. Like what we, yeah, I guess just fix our eyes on. Like, do we think about the house as like that's our deepest desire, or is it something else that's like, I don't know, more spiritual or heavenly, or like not materialistic, like what you were saying, like something that we can't actually like physically like grab, but we could, like, it's not tangible, but it's still there. It's like, I don't know, it's weird that Philip said consciousness, but like, yeah, something you can't like really see maybe, but more of like a relationship, or like just where you're, I don't know, I just keep thinking back to focus. Like, where are you focusing on? What are you loving, and what are you really like desiring? Is it that you want this next thing, or is it that like you have your sights set on something beyond just what this world is?
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Thank you.
I think going off of Jenny, like, I see like relationship with God and working towards that, and then gaining that, it's my treasure.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what Jesus is saying over here is this: we live in two worlds at the same time. And when I say we, I'm referring to you guys who I believe are seeking spirituality, seeking to connect to divine. You're not just living a life, the horizontal life, just to have stuff. You know, who dies with the most toys, he wins. You don't live for that. I feel that we here are living in two worlds. One foot is in this world, the other foot is in heaven. And what is more real to you is what determines where you're going to be laying your treasures at. When you lay up your treasures, you're investing your energy, your time, your effort, your soul, everything you are, you're putting into it. Again, there is nothing wrong with treasures on earth. The problem is when you are rich in the treasures on earth, but poor with the treasures in heavens. That is what Jesus argues over here. So, in the context of this, let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes. And please, next slide, Josh. So, there are three segments that I would like us to read in the next half an hour. And this is what we'll do. There is plenty of us here, so we can split in groups. Solomon writes about the vanity of wisdom, about the vanity of indulgence, and about the vanity of hard work in these next three segments that we're going to read. But what I want to hear from you is this. I want you to pick, first of all, pick one of these topics that draws you the most. Which one would you like to learn the most? Probably indulgence is not the best word. I would probably say living it up. I should have put it that way. Vanity of wisdom, vanity of living it up, and vanity of hard work. Indulgence sounds weird. So, pick one topic. Which one of these three would you like to learn about? Okay, who is the most interested in the vanity of wisdom? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Who is the most interested in the vanity of living it up? One. Huh? You like that one too? Okay. Okay, and who is interested in vanity of hard work? Okay, cool. Now let's split. Let's have vanity of wisdom right here. Let's have vanity of living it up right here. And then let's have, what was the last? The hard work over there by Philip. Right there. Huh? Huh? You know? Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I didn't realize you raised it. Okay. So, vanity of wisdom right here. Actually, where Jenny is. Let's put it that way. So we're kind of like a little bit apart. Vanity of living it up and vanity of hard work over there. So this is what I would like you guys to do. Make a, like, sit around. Make a, like a round table or something. Huh? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, plenty of room. Oh, it's just two of you for the, okay. Apparently nobody likes living it up. So this is the assignment. I would like you guys to read. It's only a few verses for each one of you. So none of you has more than, like, okay, the second one has 11 verses, but everything else fairly short. So, but there is a lot of things that are said in there. I would like you to read through your chapter. And I would like you to mark this. So, I would like you to mark all of the things that you disagree with. So, like, you're going to see, as you start reading, there will be things that Solomon is saying, like, the things are like this, and the things are like this, and the things are like this, and you're reading it, and you're like, no, absolutely not. I really, or like, maybe that's his view, but I disagree with that. I want you guys to find at least 3 things that you disagree with in the segment that you guys are reading. I'll give you 5 minutes. So take the time starting now. Read through and then share your individual disagreements and then come up with 3 disagreements that you really don't like in what he's talking about. Hit the music. Excuse me? No, the ones, the chapter. You guys are like wisdom, right? No. So if you're talking about wisdom, so chapter 1 from 12 to 18. more
Not
seconds.
disorder, you don't know what's wrong. The wisdom of yeah, there's a anything in the bottle. I think there's the ones that are next to the drying rack. Those are good. There's also like cabinets if you open them.
Okay, time out. Everybody, see. Let's see what you guys found out. So, first, a brief intro before the discussion. So, last week, what we talked about, if you guys remember, Solomon says everything is breath. And then he talks about the times and the seasons and under the sun and all of these things. In that first chapter, he starts with the idea that, like, everything we do in life is out of our control. Like, you can't control the sun and the moon and the time passing by and you're getting older and finally, in the end, dying. You have no control over these things. These are things that are simply imposed on us by the sole virtue of us being alive. Being alive in this body, in this world, in this form, context, and so on, these are the rules. And these are the rules you can't bend, you can't avoid. Now, what you guys talked about over here, what the segments that you guys discussed, Solomon moves on and he says, okay, so everything is nothing but a breath in the world that you cannot control. But now, let's discuss the elements in our world that you can control, that you can influence, that you can change, alter, and make it different. So, he starts talking about wisdom first. Of course, he's an old wise man. He put a lot of his life into wisdom, and he starts about that. So, the wisdom team, tell me, I guaranteed that you guys are going to dislike some stuff, and then Jenny guaranteed you won't. So, now let's see who was right. Did you guys come up that you disagreed with, that, or at least that you disliked in what Solomon was talking about? Huh? Okay.
Yeah, so I guess what it was like, he says, what is wrong cannot be made right, what is missing cannot be recovered.
Okay.
And I don't know, I guess like I feel like, you know, like if you do something wrong, I mean, you can make it better, you know, either apologize or, you know, do something good in return. I guess like if something's missing, you can maybe find it, or you can maybe find something new, and then that's almost like your recovery in a way.
Okay. So this statement seems straight up wrong, right? Yeah. Actually, sorry, my bad. I wanted us to do this first, and we should have done this, but I'm rushing with it a little bit. So let's just read for everybody else. Let's just read first verses 12 to 18. So I, the preacher, have been king over Israel and Jerusalem. And I applied my heart to seek and to search out by wisdom all that is done under heaven. And it is an unhappy business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. I have seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and a striving after wind. What is crooked cannot be straight, cannot be made straight. And what is lacking cannot be counted. And I said in my heart, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before me. And my heart has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. And I applied my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this also is but a striving after wind. For in much wisdom is much vexation, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. So depressing, my goodness. So, one of the things that you guys disagreed with, that you guys didn't like, is the statement that he made over here. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. Okay, you explained it why. And yeah, okay, we're going to discuss that, but let's hear the rest. What else did you find in this segment that you guys disagreed with and didn't like?
I think Jen kind of had one. She like second guessed herself, but I think I know what she was trying to say.
Okay, let me hear it.
She said, I have seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity, and is striving after wind. So I told
No,
her.
not that one. I thought you meant
last-
the next one.
No, that's what he said. 15 is what Andrew said.
Oh, I thought you were talking for me.
Well, and which one was the verse that you...
Well, like 18, I can understand the perspective it says. So it says, for with much wisdom comes much sorrow. For the more knowledge, the more grief. Like I can understand. Karina has said like, yeah, the more you understand the suffering around the world, like the more grief it brings you. But like if you just narrow it down to like, I shared the example like if somebody's sick and they don't know what they have, and then they find out like what their diagnosis is, then they could like work towards healing that like medical reasons. So it's like, well, technically it's like you increased in wisdom and it helped you. So that's not always true, like when you look at it that way. But Karina was saying like, I don't think that's what you meant, which is probably true, but also I don't think like wisdom always brings more grief, like when it comes to things like that.
Okay.
So I guess maybe I do
All right.
disagree with that.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, one more. I want to hear one more before we get into discussion. One more from the wisdom team. You guys didn't find anything else?
You brought up a good one, 13, but to not copy yours, we could say with 14, which is what I had read when I said Jenny said, I have seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity. And I had mentioned, well, I told Jenny, I was like, oh, well, like relationships, like obviously relationship with Daniel marriage with Karina, like he's saying, I might be taking it a little literal, but he's saying, that's something that's done under the sun, is that all vanity, I guess, you know, like is that wrong? So maybe I don't just agree with it 100%, maybe that's not what he's saying.
Okay.
I guess another one maybe would be like the greater my wisdom, the greater my grief. Increased knowledge only increases sorrow. Which I guess like I partially agree with that, but then like the other side of me says, well, like I don't know, like knowledge is power, and like knowledge just brings like knowing, when you know more.
Okay. Okay, it's kind of like what Jenny was aiming at, but okay. So but essentially, you guys don't see eye to eye with Solomon. But first of all, let's go a little bit step back to last week. Do you guys remember we spent quite a bit of time discussing what word vanity means? Do you guys remember?
Ego for yourself?
No. So in the context of Hebrew language and in the context of what Solomon is talking about, especially over here.
Wouldn't it be like a breath, like it comes and goes?
Yes. Yes, a breath. So it's like, and it's gone. And interestingly enough, Solomon adds one more interesting metaphor to follow vanity, as you guys could have noticed in here. Did you see what that was? What is the metaphor that he's using to follow the word vanity? Chasing the wind. Yes. Very interesting. And that is something that it's easier for us to relate. You'll never catch wind, you know? It's here now, and you enjoy the breeze, and then it's gone. You know? And it was good while it lasted, but now it's gone. That's the idea of the word vanity. So in that context, even when Solomon talks about relationships as well, and later on, like in Living It Up, he talks about relationships. Today they're here and we enjoy them, and then tomorrow they're gone. You know? So, okay. What was the first one? Oh, what is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. Why do you guys think this is wrong? So, Andrew already explained it, but what about the rest of you? So this is the question of her. Let's talk a little bit about this vanity of trying to be smart. Not even trying to be smart, trying to be wise. The idea of wisdom is understanding life, gaining better perception of things happening behind the scenes. Understanding how mechanics of life work so you can control them, manipulate them, and steer them into the direction you want it to go. That is what wisdom is. Wisdom is knowing more than the obvious, understanding where things come from and where they will go before they even happen. And the older you get, the more you grasp that idea, but essentially you can also invest. You can invest your time, energy, read, study to learn about these things. And Solomon says, yeah, you can do that, but it's all a waste of time. It's all but a breath, nothing else. Why? Because what's happening is happening. You can't straighten it out. You can't change it. Can you explain verse 15 to me in a way that you would say, yes, this is a correct statement? What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. And let's say this is the truth. How would you prove that this is the truth?
Well, I feel like the second statement's easier for me to explain. This first one's harder, but like, if something's not there, then you can't count them. Like, say count day at school, right? Like, if certain people are not there and they stayed home, you can't count them because they're missing. Like, that's just, you can't because they're not there. So I think that's kind of like, he's just stating like, you can't say something's there when it's not, maybe. That's how I understand it. And then, I mean, I think when we first read, like, what is crooked cannot be straight, like, my initial reaction is like, well, yeah, you can straighten it out, like, because you can fix it. But maybe he's just making a statement of, like, it is what it is. You can't do anything about it. Like, it's just, it is. Like, this plate is a plate, and we can't do anything. Even though our knowledge is like, no, we can't. Like, we can melt it down, make it into a mud. Like, you know, he's saying you can't. Like, it just is what it is, which is so confusing, and I don't know how else to, so I don't know.
Okay, let's go with Victor and then with Patti and then...
I think what I agree with, for an example, would be us in general, since we have sin. I mean, we can try to be as best we can and try to be like Jesus, but we're all going to fall short. So when he says what is crooked cannot be made straight, because that's us. I mean, we'll never be like God, we'll never be like Jesus. And what we all, like the Bible says, we fall short. So what is lacking cannot be counted. Okay. So that's why Jesus died for us, but that's why I agree with it, and I see ourselves in that.
Thank you very much. This is a nice spiritual connotation. This verse, yeah, thank you.
The other thing I was trying to say was kind of go something along with what Jenny said about like how what is crooked cannot be straightened is like if you have like let's say a pole right over there, if it gets bent, you can do your best to like make it straight again, but like it'll never be the same as what it once was.
Okay.
Kind of thing, and I think that's also like how like we as human beings are as well.
Okay. So it can never be perfect again as it used to be. Okay, I'll make an example. After Andrew, I'll make an example that I would like us to think about. Go ahead.
I guess something a lot of people live by nowadays is like the saying of like, don't be sorry, just be better. You know, like messed up, but like just be better next time.
So yeah, you could improve and so on, but the thing is what happened. There is no change to it. Now, the context is this. So, you guys remember the high school. Were those the good days? No. Okay. Okay, majority remembers high school in a kind of fond, romanticized way, like, yeah, high school days. And some of the high school days were great, right? And here's the thing. You enjoyed them then, and now looking back, they're gone. Those days are gone. What is lacking cannot be counted. So you can have awesome times right now, wherever you are in your season of life. But you can never bring back the same experience that you had back then. When you were young and stupid and ignorant, and you were just doing things, learning on your own mistakes, But it was awesome because those core hormones just made nothing really hurt as bad or made it hurt much worse than it actually was supposed to and so on. But the bottom line is, the life as we live it, the life as it is moving on until we die. And as the things pass by, they stay back. What was crooked then, you can never straighten it out. Yeah, you can fix it, you can mend it, you can move on, but things never really change. And again, talking about the high school days, let's even go back. Let's go to elementary school. Do you even remember elementary school? Yes. Oh, the bliss of ignorance. For me, the best example is when I was a youth pastor with you guys, and you were teenagers, and you had so many questions and so many confusions, and I had to kind of walk through that maze trying to explain it the best as I can. I loved those days when Jamie would take over, and I would go teach in the children's church with little kids. Like for them, oh, this is so easy. Like I don't have to explain to them anything that I had to explain to you guys. Why? Because they lived in their spiritual reality to the level of comprehension they could have. Solomon says over here, for in much wisdom is much sorrow, and he who increases knowledge increases pain. Now, the older you get, the more you understand the world. Do you ever look back wishing, oh my goodness, how easier it was, you know, how simpler it used to be, you know, back then. So the idea, again, I'm saying, so the idea of wisdom is, yes, as Jenny said, it's a good example. You know, if you don't know that you're sick, you might feel good, but you're going to die because the illness is going to kill you.
That's different from like knowledge, no? Wisdom and knowledge are two different things. Like you can't have wisdom without knowledge, but you can have knowledge without wisdom. So the knowledge of knowing that someone's sick, that's knowledge, it's not wisdom. It's just knowledge, like you know because you're a doctor, you study that so then you can help them.
Thank you very much. This is a good point. Knowledge and wisdom are two completely different things. But the idea of wisdom, the idea of as your understanding of life, as we live it grows, so does the burden and the pain and the sorrow grow as well. As you're becoming more aware, like for example, this week, it's been like 8-9 days now, what's happening in the Middle East. Like in one sense, nothing new under the sun. They've been killing each other for thousands of years. You know, and as horrifying, as atrocious as both sides are acting right now, one toward another, yeah, it really hurts. And the more you watch those videos, the more you read those stories, it hurts even more and more. But you're aware, like, that's life on this planet. And yes, I wish I didn't know of these things. But then you know, this has been happening for the past decade in Central and North Africa. Like Syria, Sudan. It's just horrible, horrible things. So many thousands and thousands of people dying on a regular basis. We just don't see it in the news. But you know that that's happening. And the more you know, the more you have the wisdom of life, the more it burdens you. Okay, we are running short on time. I'm sorry. I think I should have cut this lesson in like 2 pieces. I just didn't want to extend this too long. Let's discuss the vanity of living it up. So, what did you guys, give me 3, actually no, let's read it. Let's read it. Yes. So who would be so kind, who is close to the microphone, to read from 1 to 11? All right.
It said, I said to myself, come on, let's try pleasure. Let's look for the good things in life. But I found that this, too, was meaningless. So I said, laughter is silly. What good does it do to seek pleasure? After much thought, I decided to cheer myself with wine. And while still seeking wisdom, I clutched at foolishness. In this way, I tried to experience the only happiness most people find during their brief life in this world. I also try to find meaning by building huge homes for myself and by planting beautiful vineyards. I made gardens and parks, filling them with all kinds of fruit trees. I built reservoirs to collect the water to irrigate my many flourishing groves. I bought slaves, both men and women, and others were born in my household. I also owned large herds and flocks, more than any of the kings who had lived in Jerusalem before me. I collected great sums of silver and gold, the treasures of many kings and provinces. I hired wonderful singers, both men and women, and had many beautiful concubines. I had everything a man could desire. So I became greater than all who had lived in Jerusalem before me, and my wisdom never failed me. Anything I wanted, I would take. I denied myself no pleasure. I even found great pleasure in hard work, a reward for all of my labors. But as I looked at everything I had worked so hard to accomplish, it was also meaningless, like chasing the wind. There was nothing really worthwhile anywhere.
Thank you very much. So all of us are familiar with this concept of living in time.
Yeah.
Because all of us experienced it, and usually you experience it either kind of through high school or through college. If you didn't experience it through high school or through college, trust me, it's waiting for you. It's gonna hit you one of these days if you didn't go through with it yet. No, seriously. No, that is like the worst experience of midlife crisis in the United States. Seriously. You know when guys, they work hard, they go through the college, they family, house, this and that. They get to like their late 30s, early 40s, they shave their head, they buy a motorcycle, divorce their wife, and go find a teenage girlfriend and just kind of spend their 401k, you know. But it's kind of, you can't escape this part of life. If you don't experience it in time, it will haunt you and hunt you down later on in life. But matter of fact is, it's life nonetheless. A lot of things we do will resonate with this. A lot of money that we spend will resonate with this. If you ever spent more than $100 on a game ticket or a concert ticket, you know how much you can do with $100? What was that face all about?
Really expensive concert tickets.
Huh?
I just bought really expensive concert tickets.
Oh, okay, yeah. But here's the thing. That's exactly what we do. That is, not in the end, but through life, fun is what makes life tasty, right? Yeah, bearable for some people, but essentially, again, I remember this. Huh? Oh, you're playing with your phone? Nothing changes in a decade. I remember that. So like, again, going back to that recession, because it was really like formative years for me in understanding American culture. But like, everybody was bankrupting. Everybody was defaulting on their mortgages, losing their cars and so on. And I go to Guitar Center to try to fix. Actually, that bass that you had, you remember it wasn't working? Yeah, so I'm going to Guitar Center just to see how much is it going to cost to fix it. You know, church doesn't have much money. Hopefully it's not going to cost that much. And it's busy in there. And these guys are like, yeah, we're busy. Like, and one guy's laughing, like, yeah, he doesn't have money for his mortgage, but he's going to spend he's going to spend $2,000 on Gibson Les Paul with an amplifier. You know, and it was, at that time it hit me. Like, we first don't make decisions rationally but emotionally, but fun as it is a major part of making this life bearable. So we engage with it. We feel very often that we're entitled to it, and we feel amazing when we do that, even though rationally, yeah, I should have spent this money. I could have spent this money in probably a much better and smarter way, but oh, this was so worth it. You know that sentence? It was so worth it. So let's hear real quick three things you disagree with Solomon in the indulgence part.
I didn't like when he said laughter is silly. What good does it do to seek pleasure?
Okay, yeah, interesting. You guys ever watch stand-up
He
comedy?
had a good one.
Huh?
You had a good one. Say the one that you said earlier.
Oh yeah, he said in verse 11 that all was in vanity and grasping for the wind when he like referred to like living it up. And then like what we were saying was like whether you win or lose, you can learn from something. Like even in your worst, like your lowest moments, there's still something good that you can take out of your experience. So that's why we didn't agree with him saying that it was all
Okay.
Meaningless.
Okay, all right. We really need to stay away from that idea of meaningless. Vanity does not mean meaningless. And I really feel bad for that translation that keeps
Yeah,
kicking
that's
in with
fine.
the idea of meaningless, because that's not what he's saying. It's not about being meaningless.
What is the
It's about being very transient, temporary, and in the moment.
temporary.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a note here.
Okay, it's noon. I don't know. Okay, let's take real quick the time for the hard work. I'm sorry not to rush through this. Next time you guys come on time, okay? How about that? 10:30, please.
And we started pretty close to on
Well,
time.
we
were doing
did,
pretty
yes,
good.
but
Don't blame us.
okay, the hard work. Who would be so kind to read verses 18 to 26? Jenny, you're close to the microphone. Would you please?
Yeah. I hated all the things I had toiled for under the sun, because I must leave them to the one who comes after me. And who knows whether he will be a wise man or a fool? Yet he will have control over all the work into which I have poured my effort and skill under the sun. This too is meaningless. So my heart began to despair over all my toil, some labor under the sun. For a man may do his work with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and then he must leave all he owes to someone who has not worked for it. This too is meaningless and a great misfortune. What does a man get for all the toil and anxious striving with which he labors under the sun? All his days he works. All his days his work is pain and grief. Even at night his mind does not rest. This too is meaningless. A man can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in his work. This too I see is from the hand of God. For without him, who can eat or find enjoyment? To the man who pleases him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth to hand it over to the one who pleases God. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind.
So let me hear 3 things you guys disagreed with.
The first one is I hated all my toil, which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me.
Okay?
And after that, it's pretty much saying, I guess Philip was right. I thought like the man can be like just like anybody, like your spouse or your kids. But you want to explain that one?
So I was more just thinking like for me, it's more of an honor to leave something to your children or to someone after you, because you've built something for them. But not just that, you build them through to know how to accept and how to use that, So for me, it was more just you work your whole life to give something away, but as long as you're not giving it away to a fool, you're giving it to someone that, like your son or daughter, that has that wisdom, then I think it's meaningful.
Okay.
In the reality, like we're not gonna do that. Like that doesn't happen.
What do you mean?
Like I mean, like all my hard work is not just gonna go to just some random person.
To whoever. Okay.
Um,
You don't know that.
I mean, I'm building it for someone else to pass it on to my kids, or,
But the problem that Solomon has over here, he has a problem like I'm gonna pass it on to my kid, and what if he's an idiot? But that's what he says over here,
Yeah, well, then all the rich kids in the world, how they end up like their grandpas were raised by their parents.
I mean, you guys probably heard that expression. So hard times create strong people. Strong people create good times. Good times create weak people. Weak people create hard times.
There's actually a book. Well, it's men. It
Huh?
talks about men, but there's a book all about that.
Uh-huh.
and stuff. Like,
What's the name of the book?
like, I actually have it right here. Okay, hard times create strong men.
Oh, okay, okay,
That's what
yeah.
it's called.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but that's exactly what it is. And then Solomon is in a fear. Like, I created good times, and is my son going to be weak? You know, because having good times. Okay, what else did you guys find? What else was the vanity of?
What I disagreed with, what do people get for all the toil and anxious striving with which they labor under the sun? I completely disagree with that due to the fact that, like, sometimes when you work hard for something, you feel like accomplished. You feel like, oh, I did something good, I did something great. Like, I can, like, either A, do it again better, or maybe I can teach it to somebody and to do it better than me. Like, it's not just wasted kind of thing.
Okay, so I hate we have to rush for this, but okay, so it is what it is. So all of these disagreements that we had with Solomon, all of them revolve around like one and same thing. Like, we are focusing on things at hand over here, and he's looking at things at large. The idea of wisdom is not just seeing ahead of you. The idea of wisdom in life is encompassing everything that is ahead of you. And that is what he's doing. So he says, you can work hard as much as you want, and you can accomplish and create as much as you want, but so what? It's all gone. It's all going to be gone. It's all going to be either in somebody else's hand, or it's going to be taken by recession or by fire or by who knows what. You know, you can work hard and build and create. And what about a career? You can invest into a career, and then next year AI takes over your line of work, and what then? You know, what's the point of it? Or he's talking about the fun times. You're gonna you spend $100 on a concert ticket.
Yeah, I was gonna say 100. That's cheap.
Okay, you didn't have to blow up things like that. Like, let's talk about your gun now. your 10 mil Smith & Wesson, no? Okay. Let's bring that up. No, but it's going to be an amazing time, and then it's gone. And in the grand scheme of things, at the end of your life, all of these things will be gone. All of these things will be but a memory, nothing else. So his argument is this. All of these things that we're talking about trying to attain wisdom, knowledge, understand life, trying to work hard to build and create, trying to have fun and spend time in some enjoyment, all of these things are a smoke screen that we use not to see the reality of life. Like, remember the high school finals. They were such a big deal then. Now you couldn't care less. What is a big deal right now, in 10 years you're going to look back and you couldn't care less. So his point is like, why freaking out about it right now? And then the bottom line is, you're going to come to your deathbed, and all of these things that you worked hard, that you worried, that you freaked out, all of these things will be like, whatever. So his argument in vanity of life that we create is this. Look past of the smoke screen. You want to build a business? Look past that. You want to build a career? Look past that. You want to go on a trip around the world? Look past that. And be aware that all of these things are causing you way too much lack of focus of what is really important. And that is that you live in vanity right now. That your breath is what really counts right now. His point over here is stop being distracted by the things that this world has to offer. Yeah, they are part of life. We live in this world. His point is, don't stop. I mean, do you see him stopping? He didn't stop. Everything that he did, he kept doing. He just realized that if your primary and main focus is on these things, you're actually missing on life. You're missing on real life while you're trying to achieve these things and do these things. Like those famous John Lennon's words, life is what happens while you're making plans. That's why pretty much same conclusion as from last week is this. Last week, you didn't have a choice. The way the things are in the world is the way the things are in the nature, with the seasons and so on. But here you do have a choice. And you can choose to sacrifice everything for your whatever achievements are. And some people do that. As a youth pastor, I saw a lot of kids neglected because their parents were too busy with their careers. Or too busy with just paying the bills because they crank up the bills harder than they were supposed to. You guys today have a choice to make. And that is, you sit down and you have to sort out what is transient in your life and what is actually a treasure in heaven that you want to build for. And very often we come to realize that majority of everything we invest into transient. And then when it's gone, you're gone with it as well. Investing into treasures in heaven is what we talked about. Investing into your spirituality, into growing your understanding of God, into finding your purpose in this world. You are way, like, I know you guys. We know each other well. I believe that all of you are going to succeed in life. How much I know about you. I believe all of you are going to be successful and you're going to love your life as you're living through decades and seasons of your life. But the purpose behind it might end up never achieved if you only focus on this front row of life that you are in. What is your non-transient purpose in life? What are you here to do for God? What are you here to achieve more than just pay bills, have fun, and die? Pay taxes, of course. But you guys get my point. Solomon says all of these things, a career, a material, financial, like I tried it all. And now I'm old and I'm looking back and none of it really counts. You know, in the end of his lifetime, and we're going to get that to the end of the book, and we can just skip to the end as you guys already know it well. The only thing that counts is fear God and keep his commandments. That's how he wraps it up. That's how he wraps his message. But I want you guys to think beyond that. I want you really to take time this week and to sort out transient versus eternal. What things in your life right now that you value, that are important, that you're building and investing in, are transient, and what things are eternal? And then once you have clearly delineated these two lists, then you have to make a choice. Okay, am I investing enough into eternal? Am I investing too much into transient? And where do I want to live my life? With treasures on earth or with treasures in heaven? But until you do that, you will be living this weird life that Solomon lived, trying to fill up life with props that never satisfy. And the time is passing by inevitably. But if you sort this out today, and this is the coolest thing about it, if you sort out today transient versus eternal, and you choose what are you going to focus on, then the end is not going to matter. Like, yeah, we all die, but who cares? It's not important. That is not important when you focus on eternal. So I really encourage you to sit down and do this, because it will really not just change your life, but improve it beyond what you thought it was possible. You'll see. Any questions?
Ecclesiastics are the books of King Solomon?
Most likely.
Oh, okay. Most likely.
Yes. They're traditionally attributed to him, but most likely it's a compilation of various writings and various translations, because you will find in Ecclesiastes a lot of Egyptian wisdom. And it's a well-known fact, somewhat from the Bible, somewhat from Hebrew tradition, that Solomon was probably educated at Egyptian university, and he had connection with Egypt a lot. And like, for example, next week, when we start reading chapter 3, there is time for everything. Time to live, time to die, time to reap, time to sow, like all these things. That is not a Jewish concept at all. That is a completely 100% Egyptian concept of understanding of time. But he takes it and he incorporates it in Jewish thought. It's amazing. It's very interesting. So essentially, if it's not completely written by Solomon, it's definitely financed and compiled by him and his, let's say, team of wise people that he had around him. That's where kind of you have like a traditional idea and a little bit more, for me, frankly, more realistic idea. Any more questions?
Well, the book of Proverbs would also have been written like that, or that's all him?
Yes, no, same thing. So the book that is most likely his own is the Song of Solomon. But again, and that is based on the linguistic structure. But when it comes to the content of books of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, they're written in different periods of time, and they're addressing different topics, but in the same way. They're heavily influenced by the Egyptian thought, and to some extent also Sumerian thought as well. So, because as I said, Solomon was connected. Like he, instead of building walls, he actually tried to build bridges. He was really trying to connect. And he was trying to learn from other perspectives of life. Okay, what is life all about? And then he comes through, and then he realizes, like, this is awesome. And then he tosses it in, and it follows the Holy Scriptures through the centuries afterwards. You have a whole movement in Orthodox Jewish community claiming that the books that Solomon wrote were actually supposed to be read the opposite to what they're saying. Everything that is written should be interpreted opposite and then applied like that. Because Solomon was at his worst when he was writing these books. So God wanted us to have these books to see how does it look like when somebody has a perspective that is completely opposite to what it's supposed to be. That's like, you'll find some of the like Jewish thought that goes like that. Because they just couldn't, and really you can't. Like a lot of things you can't. Like you can't reconcile the book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes with a lot of other parts of the Old Testament. They just don't ring together. They just don't go together. They're like, don't function that way. Sometimes we can talk about it as well if you guys are interested. But the bottom line is, that's why you will hear people calling the book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, it's gospel of rebels. and that's the irony of it. Like you read it and like, this is actually awesome. Yeah. Okay, no more questions. Excellent. So let's stand up. Let's have a prayer, and then let's finish those pastries. Let's volunteer Victor.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the message today that Milosh brought to us and everything that we learned. And for having us dive deeper into Ecclesiastics and knowledge of wisdom and work and forgot this thing. Indulgence. Let us have a great day and keep all these thoughts in the back of our mind throughout the week, and bless us, and thank you for another day of rest, and hopefully we have a great day.
Amen. Cool. Thank you.